Joining us tonight is San Francisco Mayor London Breed. Mayor, nice to have you on the program. Hope you're having a good night. One of the reasons San Francisco voters gravitate to you is you're a straight shooter. With that said, how frustrated are you with what's happening in your city right now?
Well, of course, I'm beyond frustrated because San Francisco is such a beautiful city, is an iconic city, and it's a city of opportunity where people from all over the world come here seeking refuge. And so I think, sadly, what we've seen in recent weeks with a number of the issues in Union Square and the rampant videos around the car break-ins and other things are trying to paint San Francisco in a negative light. But I want to be clear that we are doing everything we can, including adding additional resources with our police department and other services to really change what people are experiencing. And from my perspective, being out on the streets, it's actually working. We are seeing things turn around. It's not perfect. We're a major city. We got work to do, but we are seeing a change.
Mayor Breed, this doesn't seem like a quick fix, and correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think things can be fixed in 3 months, 6 months, maybe 12 months. When do you think things can get better, tangibly speaking, and safer in the city?
Well, I would say, and let's just talk about Union Square. I think already with the significant increase in the police presence, the ambassadors, the ice skating rink, the activities, and all of what we're doing in Union Square, we are already seeing a significant difference. We're not, the people down there, whether they work there or they're traveling there, there's not been any incident since what happened at that store other than a situation involving a car break-in in one of our garages. And that person was stopped and arrested because we have police in our garages. And so I think what's happening in Union Square is we're responding to it. And the message is we're not going to let you come here and get away with that kind of thing. And I think separately from that, in our various neighborhoods, we continue to have other issues, but we have police officers out on the street. We have resources out on the street dedicated to helping support neighborhoods. I think people are seeing somewhat of a difference. It's not where I want it to be clearly, but it's going to continue to get better because we are not going to let up.
Mayor Breed, so much criticism for your district attorney, Chesa Boudin. Is he getting a bad rap, or is the criticism valid?
Well, I think that our criminal justice system here in San Francisco is not only complicated, but it's really broken in terms of how, our officers, we make the arrest, then they go before the judges and the courts, and the DA's job is to make sure that people are held accountable and they communicate to the judges what's necessary. And so I think there might be a little bit of disconnect in people who are committing, unfortunately, low-level offenses. But those low-level offenses are a multitude of offenses. And over time, eventually someone has to be held accountable. And we can't just keep arresting people, letting them out, arresting them, letting them out. Eventually someone has to be held accountable. And that's the DA's responsibility.
Low level or high level, we spoke with Chesa Boudin just last night. Here's what he had to say. Take a listen.
This has nothing to do with the facts or with the real challenges our communities are facing. This has everything to do with disrespecting the will of the people.
All right, Chesa Boudin, they're talking about the recall. Did San Francisco voters, I don't want to say did they get it wrong, but did they maybe misunderstand what it would be like to put a progressive DA in charge?
Well, I can't speak for all San Francisco voters. I think ultimately, there's a reason why there are a number of San Franciscans who feel strongly enough that they are putting a recall on the ballot. And I think eventually the voters will decide whether or not he stays in office or not. Ultimately, what I try to do is work with the district attorney. I try to make sure that we are communicating with one another. He's working with my police chief. And really, of course, I am making sure that I'm doing my part, to push for accountability and provide the financial resources for that department to run effectively. I have a desire to want to work with him in the meantime. And, as far as I'm concerned, I'm doing the best that I can to try and address many of these problems, and it's just very complicated.
I believe it's your call, if he does get recalled in June, to appoint a new DA. Do you have a hot list?
No, I don't.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm in City Hall, Raj, so I'm not sure to the extent of what I could talk about this, the specifics, because it's technically considered a campaign, so I apologize if I can't get into the details.
Fair enough. We focus so much on tourists. You talked about it, but what about just locals? Everyone around the Bay Area, we want a night out in San Francisco, yet even locals feel uncomfortable and unsafe.
Well, I think that we're going to get to a better place. And I think, let's be realistic. It does involve having more police officers on the streets 24/7. I think Union Square is proof that if we have law enforcement at the table, they're dealing with a number of the changes down there, and we're seeing improvements in that area within milliseconds. And when you look at our various neighborhoods and some of the crime around the car break-ins and also the vandalism for a number of our small businesses, it's clear that we need more officers on the streets. And so my goal is to propose that so that people change their hearts and their minds based on their experiences of being out in San Francisco.
You have done a good job in terms of getting San Francisco vaccinated, helping lead that charge. With Omicron spreading, initial reports are that it might not be too damaging in terms of the other compared to other variants. Would you lessen some of the restrictions in San Francisco? Loosen, I should say?
Well, I want to loosen some of them now, but I support and respect and trust the Department of Public Health. I think that we're doing really well in San Francisco. About 79% of San Franciscans are fully vaccinated, which is, I don't know any other major city in the country that has a number like we do. And the fact is, we are doing very well with our hospitalization rates, and the data is looking great. I think there's just a little nervousness about the impacts of this variant, although the initial signs are very promising. And my hope is that sooner rather than later, we get some of these restrictions lifted so we could truly enjoy ourselves.
Are you enjoying being mayor?
I enjoy being mayor on most days. It's a tough job, as I'm sure you know. And I got to say, as someone who grew up in the city, and I talk about, how I grew up in public housing, in poverty, in some of the worst circumstances. And the fact that I am able to be here as mayor of this city is significant, and it's truly a blessing and an honor to serve. And so that's why I know this city is great. This city has the possibility of doing amazing things for people's lives. Our financial investments, our changes to policies are about investing in people and helping to turn around the lives of those most vulnerable. So I am hopeful about the future, and I'm hoping we'll get to a better place. And so, yes, on most days when we're able to make a difference in someone's life, I definitely love being mayor.
We appreciate your passion. Mayor Breed, thanks for your time tonight, and happy holidays to you.
Thank you, Raj. Happy holidays to you, too.